Hello everyone, my name is Christian. Welcome back to TechPoint. Today our guest is Nick, the co-founder at KnowledgeNet.ai. Hello Nick.
Hello, Christian. How are you?
Good. It's a pleasure to have you on the podcast. Thank you for joining us. And please tell us what your company does.
Sure. My name is Nick Caruso. I'm the co-founder and chief revenue officer of KnowledgeNet.ai. We are a startup in the AI space, but before AI was popular. So before ChatGPT and the world changed with ChatGPT, we've been in the AI space for a while. It's all about helping you drive your top of funnel business.
Okay. How do you do this?
Sure. So, Christian, I see you're pretty active on LinkedIn.
Yes.
And do you use LinkedIn for prospecting purposes and so forth?
Yeah, let's say yes.
Yeah,
social selling and building prospects. Yes, for sure.
So when you think about LinkedIn, LinkedIn has signals about people's connections, right? And a lot of people just accept connections. So just because you're connected on a person on LinkedIn doesn't really mean that you have a good relationship with them. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So imagine, when you're trying to build your network, when trying to build your business, a core part of that is leveraging your network, right? Who do I know that can really help me make introductions? And when you think about that, if you can harness that knowledge, it can really open up a wide range of doors. So what we do is we look at LinkedIn, we look at your network, and we actually start scoring the people on your network to say, okay, who do you really have a relationship with, right? But what we also do is we analyze your emails and your meetings, because if you've had a meeting with someone, like right now, you and I are not connected on LinkedIn, right?
Yes.
But because our calendar invite showed that we had a meeting, KnowledgeNet knows that I have a relationship with you, Christian. Now, we've only had a couple of email exchanges, one meeting. So it doesn't mean that we have a strong relationship, but it means that we actually have an actual relationship, though.
Yes.
Now, think about that over the course of years, and think about that harnessing your entire organization and all the meetings and emails and interactions, prior work history, plus LinkedIn, and you leverage all of that knowledge. It's incredible, right?
Yes.
That's what we do. So we use that to help grow your business, which is really, an incredible value proposition.
Exactly. And for example, you see if connection is actually a relationship or not. How long have you been talking ago, right? Stuff like that.
Yep, exactly. So that's the core of what we do, right? So now that we have this big brain, what can you do with this big brain, right? So one thing, you have a website, right?
Yes.
Do you use Google Analytics on your website?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have any other tools that help you see? So Google Analytics gives you anonymous data as to viewers coming in, but can you tell which people are visiting your website?
Now, no, but I'm sure there are tools out there that do this.
Yep.
And you can
there's tools out there that will tell you what company is visiting your website. So it'll say someone from IBM is visiting your website, right? So imagine taking those people that are visiting your website, those companies, because you know who the companies are, right? You can tell the IP address and so forth. You can triangulate which company is visiting your website. Imagine it going through a process now through a brain where the brain says, wait a minute, no one at TechPon has ever emailed or had meetings with this company. This is a brand new visitor. Let's find the buyer personas from this company that fit my buyer persona, and let me automatically trigger a LinkedIn campaign to those individuals automatically. So that's what we do once we have that brain. So we have the brain. So we have the visitors coming in. We automatically triangulate. This is brand new. No one's ever had any meetings or emails with them. Automatically use databases. We have access to a database of 300 million plus people to find people in those companies and automatically trigger out LinkedIn and email sequences.
That's amazing.
So you probably today, Christian, I bet you probably have components of that. Like, are you familiar with like ZoomInfo or Apollo or things like that?
Yes.
So that'll help you find people, right?
Yes.
And then you're probably using like email sequencing or LinkedIn sequencing solutions.
Yes.
Like I love like Lemlist as an example or
Instantly.
What's that?
Instantly.
Yep, exactly, right? But to fully automate that workflow, you need to know, has anybody in my company ever interacted with anybody at this company, right? So right now, those are a lot of manual steps, but we can fully automate that end to end with our brain. That we use best practices. We use tools like we plug into Apollo, Outreach, Lemlist, etc. But we streamline that entire process.
That's amazing. I think this is really needed in the industry, and I think it's amazing to connect all of this together. How did you come up with this idea for the product?
So Christian, have you been in what's your background? In marketing or sales?
Marketing and sales, yeah.
Yeah, both, right? You wear multiple hats?
Yes.
Yep. So I've been in sales for many years. I've been in sales for over 25 years. And I've always looked at how you can automate processes, right? And I, I am like, what do you use a CRM system today?
Yes.
Yourself? What CRM do you use?
HubSpot.
HubSpot, great. Good CRM, right? So I am the worst at updating my CRM, right? I've always been the worst person. If you want me to, maybe, I was the sales rep that 1 hour before the pipeline call, I would fill out my pipeline, right? I was the guilty one of doing that. But I've also found probably some of the better salespeople are the ones that don't do it because they're so busy. So I'm always looking at automation. How can we automatically create pipeline? How can we automatically add call notes? How can we automatically create contacts and accounts, right? So I'm always looking at ways of automating things, and that's what KnowledgeNet is. It's cumulative capabilities of just automating things using AI. But at the core of it, it's the brain itself that's constantly learning about you and your company and your business, your relationships, your connections, etc.
Who is it for? Who can use KnowledgeNet.ai?
Yep. So great question. So like sales people, marketing people, but in sales, you can use it as from an SDR to help SDRs build top of funnel to enterprise account executives. Do you know that the average salesperson lasts in a company about 18 to 24 months? That's on average, right? Wow. So when you think about 18 to 24 months, that's a pretty high turnover, especially when it takes a person about 12 months to really learn what's going on, et cetera. Okay.
Yes.
So if you go on LinkedIn and you look at how many people are the average tenure of a salesperson, that's really what it is. Imagine all of that lost information when that person leaves, all the connections they've built. Now, maybe in their CRM, they've maybe logged a couple of accounts and contacts. But imagine if all of that was automatic and the brain was automatically adding accounts and contacts into your CRM system based on meetings or notes or emails or LinkedIn activity, and it's automatically doing that, and it's building that brain. And then once that brain is built, if that person leaves, that brain is still there. And then once you can use that brain, as an example, doing the automatic web traffic filtering and automatically adding them to sequences, right?
Yes.
So another thing that we can do as an example is, do you ever look at your competitors and look at what events that they're doing or what posts they're making?
Everybody does that, I think.
Yep. Yeah. Right. Do you ever look at who's liking those posts or who's attending their events?
Yeah, I think it's a good idea to do that.
Right. Right. Imagine doing that automatically. Imagine having a platform that you can tell it who your competitors are, and it will automatically see who's liking posts, who's joining those events, identifying those individuals if they fit your ICP, your buyer persona, and automating the process of building top of funnel from that approach.
I think it's amazing, and it solves so many missing pieces of the puzzle. Everything that you described. I'm curious to know about the pricing. How does the pricing work for companies?
Yep. So we have both a product we have two prices. We have a product where it's a per user license, and it's $700 per user per year.
Okay.
And for that $700, we OEM or integrate lots of products into our platform. So we integrate Apollo into our platform. So if you're familiar with Apollo IO?
Yes.
Great database. We fully resell our database. We integrate it. So you get that full capability. We have a lot of other capability built into the platform. So you actually save a lot of money by using our platform for $700 per user per year. And then we also have a license that's $2,500 per month. And the $2,500 per month is where we do things automatically for you. So if you want to use our product, you can use our product and you can click it around and you can find people and search people and things like that. But if you want like automatic pipeline building, we charge $2,500 a month for that. And we use things like who's visiting your website, who are your competitors, what's activity with your competitors, and so forth. So it's the still core product, it's still the same core product, but it's using it as a service. And a lot of customers like that because it just turns it on for them and pipelines being automatically built.
It's basically a VP of sales, but AI.
Yep, exactly. Yep. So, and it's a lot of our we're augmenting a lot of sales teams by doing that. I've been in sales for a long time. A lot of the companies I was at before, I never got a single lead from when I was a sales rep. I had to find all of my own leads, and the ability that these leads are now can just be dropped into my lap are incredible.
Yes,
and that's what we do.
And how, from your perspective, do you see any competitors in this market, or are you the first one to actually create this all-in-one solution?
Yep. So there are different components are competitors, right? So like the relationship intelligence piece, which I started with, there's some products out there that are doing a little bit of that. But some of them are also a CRM system, and we're not a CRM system. We work with your CRM system. There's a lot of, if you go on YouTube, there's a lot of people on YouTube talking about how to do this, and they show you how to do it, stitching all of these products together, like using RB2B and then using Apollo and then using Lemlist and then using ChatGPT. And you look at the video and you're like, wow, that's incredible. And then if you try and do it yourself, you're like, it's really hard to do. So actually what we do with our $2,500 a month service is we can actually turn it over to you after 3 months. So we'll actually use our product, configure all the other products, build a workflow, and then give it to you after 3 months. You have a 3-month contract with us. But it's hard to maintain. So a lot of our customers are like, you know what, you're doing a great job. We're happy continuing to pay you $2,500 a month, right? And so that's what we do as well.
Okay. How big is the team right now?
Yep. So we're a team of 20 people, and we've been around for a few years now. We came out of a company. Well, so we had this idea, and of course, like any product, kind of grew and grew and grew to where we are right now. It's really exciting as a SaaS startup. We grew by about 300 new logos last year. So it's really exciting. Every week we have new customers coming on board. They're using us, giving us feedback, and we're partnering. Actually, our largest channel right now is fractional sales team. So people that coach sales teams.
Oh, yeah.
They bring us with them to their customers. So they see a lot of value in what we do. They're being brought in as sales experts, and they bring our technology to their customers, and that's a very exciting growth path.
And on the same topic, how did you find your first customers?
How did we find our first customers?
Yes.
Yeah, that's a good question. So we actually started. We were a consulting company before, and a company came to us and asked us if they had this problem, exactly like I shared with you, and we built it for them, and they really liked it, and they liked it so much they said, you should turn this into a company, you should turn this into a product, which is what we did. So we teamed up with them, and that company is actually a private equity company. They were building it for themselves to use, and they liked it so much that they invested in us, and now we are going after other companies that are similar to them and other sales organizations and sales teams.
And are you looking to raise even more, or was just the start and you're looking to bootstrap and become profitable?
No, we are. The management team that we're part of. We've had many other successful companies that we've started and sold, and so yeah, we're gonna do another round of funding so that we can grow even faster. And so it's always exciting to be part part of a startup like that.
What did you say was your biggest challenge since starting the company? This company, Knowledge.ai. Because with everyone you learn something new. We'll chat about that later in the episode. But I'm curious exactly for this particular niche if you found any big challenges.
Yep. So this space is a crowded space. And especially when ChatGPT came out, and everyone is saying that they can do AI now. And a lot of times AI is just because they're adding ChatGPT to something.
Yes.
We actually do use ChatGPT for a very small part of our capabilities, but AI before was something unique and novel, and now everyone is saying that they do AI, which they really don't. So navigating that crowded space is a little bit of a challenge, but apart from that, it's a fun ride.
Okay. And what is the vision for the future of the company?
Yeah, good. So we're very AI centric right now. Sales centric. So we're very much in that sales marketing space. And our KnowledgeNet brain is really a very smart brain that can help automate business processes. So we're starting in that sales space to build top of funnel, but what other things can we do to automate, as an example? So if you have a brain that knows a lot about your company, what else can you do? So as an example, our brain can learn a lot about, like we're working with another company that fixes aircrafts. And you're like, well, wait a minute, how does fixing aircrafts have anything to do with, with what I just talked about? Yeah. Well, a brain's a brain, right? And so we can have our brain learn a lot about maintenance manuals and understand how to fix aircraft engines and how to be a companion to help automate and streamline aircraft maintenance. So there's all these different verticals that we can get into by leveraging our brain. But for right now, we're just, because our, the go-to-market is, we want to focus on one go-to-market is in that sales and marketing space.
Oh, wow. So this is just the beginning. It can be so many industries in the future, right?
Yes. Yep. Absolutely.
And not only for relationships.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. So when you, like we've been, you can think about, like law firms or and you try and understand, like all the different connections that are happening with a case and who's talking to who and why is this related to some other thing. So it's all instead of those type of connections for sales, you can use those connection paths for, helping fix aircraft engines or law firms or law cases or things like that.
That would be amazing. How did you build this brain?
How do you build the brain?
Yes.
So, do you use like social media like Facebook,
yes,
and things like that, right? And do you ever think it's really crazy how sometimes it can advertise things to you, and you're like, how did you know I was looking at buying a certain type of shoe or things like that, right?
Yes, happens very often.
Yeah, and even my wife thinks that, and other people think that, like Facebook is listening on your phone. It's so good at knowing what you're thinking of, right?
Yeah.
And that Facebook uses something called a graph database, and it's points and it's connected to other points. And so with LinkedIn, it's pretty simple. You're connected to a person because of relationship, right? But those points, there's circles connected to lines to another circle, right? So there's circles, those are called nodes and edges. So the line is the edge and the two circles are the nodes. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So a node can be a person, but the other node are like your interests, your hobbies, where you went to school, what you're posting about right now, and so forth. And it starts building these connection paths, these networks about you. And that's exactly what we do ourselves. So we're taking that same capability as to what Facebook is doing, and we're using it for business purposes. So for sales, instead of recommending an ad to you, right, we're recommending a new lead to you, a new person that you should reach out to. And so it's called a graph database. Have you ever heard of graph databases before?
No.
Yep. So you might have heard of the term relational database. That's like really old. It's still very new. There's very good purposes for it. but a graph database is connecting dots and relationships between different things. So again, in LinkedIn, it's your work, your experience, your school, but it could be anything. It could be what ice cream you like, what you're posting about, et cetera.
Yes.
And based upon that, we start building these connections and these paths and understanding things. So because you like chocolate ice cream, it can mean a lot of different things, right? And so we start connecting the dots with all of that.
That's amazing. And is this technology quite new and not used in B2B, I guess?
Graph databases have been around for forever.
Okay.
But it's been very difficult for the average business to use them. And with social media, they've exploded.
Okay.
And so now with social media, they became really big. And then ChatGPT is built on what's called a vector database, which is a little bit similar to a graph database. So it gets very complicated, but when you leverage like a large language model, which is what ChatGPT is based on, is using a concept of a vector database. And then if you overlay a vector database with a graph database, there's like crazy, amazing things that you can do with it.
Totally makes sense. Thank you for sharing that. I have 2 questions left for you. What would be your best piece of advice for someone that's looking to become an entrepreneur, a founder, looking to start their first business, let's say after finishing their studies?
Yep. So number 1 is reach out to your network. Any idea that you have, really validate it with your network. Get as much feedback as you can to really understand it. And any idea that you have, any great idea that you have, probably somebody else is doing it as well. So,
yes.
Which isn't a bad thing. I mean, having product validation is an important thing. You just want to understand how you're different. That would be my number 1 advice. And then my second advice is, and this is an old saying, if you're building a product, if you're not embarrassed with your first release of the product, you've waited too long.
Exactly. I think it's a quote by someone.
What's that?
Yeah. I think it's a quote from someone. I think the founder of LinkedIn, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep. And that's really, really, really hard to do.
Yeah.
Like the first version of KnowledgeNet, it was okay, but it's meeting the minimum viable product. Does it meet a very specific need? Maybe it doesn't look pretty. And then you kind of just iterate from there. I have a term, I didn't make it up, but it's crawl, walk, and run. Everything I do is crawl, walk, and run. And then just the question is, yes, you want to get to the run phase, but what can you do in the crawl phase first?
I appreciate that very much. Thank you. Last question for you, Nick. What's your favorite software that you use, but apart from KnowledgeNet.ai?
Well, I use ChatGPT every day, and that's really incredible. But my latest favorite software is Make.com. It's a workflow engine.
Yes.
If you're familiar with Zapier, are you familiar with Make?
Yes, with Zapier and Make as well. Yes.
Yep. So I love those type of automation tools, and then you can add KnowledgeNet into those automation workflows to accelerate your business processes.
Thank you so much, Nick. Is there anything else that you want to share today with the audience before we close down the podcast?
No, that's it. I appreciate your time, Christian. And then you can reach me on LinkedIn. Just search for Nick Caruso on LinkedIn, or just go to KnowledgeNet. And regardless if you're interested in using my product or not, I love talking to people, helping business problems, and happy to help people.
Thank you so much, Nick. You did amazing, and I'm amazed by your product and how much help you're putting out there in the market. How easy it becomes for businesses to manage all of this. And congratulations to everything that you're doing. I'm rooting for you and hope that this product can reach everyone in the B2B space.
Great. I appreciate it. All right. Thank you
so much.